I'm very happy that we're here today, the first startup data boost at BongoHive in partnership with Data for Change Foundation. Leveraging data for business growth, that's why we're here today. And next slide, please. I put Momo on this slide to make the slide more beautiful. Momo's here in front. We brought this thing on the track together. We couldn't be here without the amazing BongoHive team. Farron, thank you so much. Hannah Redders is my name. I'm managing the Data for Change Foundation. Many of you have heard of BongoHive. How many of you have been to events here before? Yeah, okay. And the other ones, hopefully you'll come back. There's a great co-working space here. Data for Change might be new to everyone. It was new to me about a year ago too. It's a foundation that I will dig deeper into. I will give you the introduction of what we do. And let me just also acknowledge the presence of Mr. Banda from the UK High Commission. We're very happy to have you here because we are funded by the FCDO actually. So it's a blessing to have you. You see what we're doing on the ground. If you would like to find out more about Data for Change, please use that QR code. Follow us on LinkedIn, Data for Change, the Paris 21 Foundation. And why did we come into existence? Why Data for Change Foundation? The problem that triggered our existence is basically bad data leads to bad information, leads to bad decisions. And that is simply too much to carry in the time of climate change because bad decisions get more costly to carry. We are here to trickle down data silos. Now, what are data silos? This picture is the perfect depiction for me of a data silo. You know, there are a lot of large corporates around the world that sit and produce a lot of data. They might have the data that you need just as a byproduct. But getting that data and turning it into a public good and turning it into an accessible, understandable information, that's the challenge. Closing information gaps, especially governments in the global south are literally tapping in the dark. Again, a link to load shedding. We're tapping in the dark 21 hours a day. But this article from The Economist was published 2020, even before the severe times of load shedding, saying, lacking data, many African governments make policy in the dark. It is hard to help the poor if you don't count them, and that's exactly it. When we work with development funds, we have to hold ourselves strictly accountable because it's taxpayers' money. And many of you might have heard the story of the mosquito nets that were sent to tackle malaria and ended up being used as fisher nets. So how do we track our own progress? How do we make interventions more efficient for the public good? But also how can businesses leverage on data to be more efficient, to use their resources in a better way, and are aware of what and how they should be doing things. The problem also, one more click please, affects Zambian SMEs. How? So let's zoom out a little bit. 18% of the world population is African right now, and that's growing. Africa is one of the highest population growth and stable. Even China has seen its peak, but Africa is the future. Compared to 2% of market research revenue that is generated in Africa and the Middle East. So this leads to a lack of information, to a lack of quality information. And that's a challenge because Africa is extremely diverse. Just Zambia has more than 72 tribes, languages. The drought affects different regions of the country differently. And another unique challenge also, who is the Zambian consumer? Who is the South African consumer? In countries where we have the largest inequality gaps, where the average income between the top 10% and the bottom 50% is the highest around the world, who is your consumer? You need to know those things because it's very hard to just stick to averages. So we need to get our data right. And what that means for the SME here, zooming down to how it affects you as an SME, the lack of reliable information leads to a situation where you have a very tough time providing quality data and providing quality targeting, market research, customer research for your business. So for banks, when you try to tap into finance, this means bad information, bad risks. They don't want to borrow money easily to SMEs because of the lack of information. Okay. So who's Data for Change to change that? We are a foundation rooted in Geneva, and we define ourselves as a network that defines, advocates, and promotes a human-centered data revolution. Are we going to overthrow UN stats now or any governments in the world? Not really. But I mentioned already that the private sector sits on a lot of data. They're the largest producer of data currently. And we want to change that setup in a sense that we want to make this data accessible, trickle down the data silos, and create more accessible data for the public and as a public good. Why Geneva? Well, Geneva roots the Geneva data community. Morning. And it also is the location for many UN organizations, for financial hubs, a data center. So Geneva is the place to be to start that revolution. We are institutionally linked to the OECD, Paris 21, to mutually support better data for better lives for all, blah, blah, blah. Who knows what the OECD is? In a nutshell, what does the OECD stand for? 4 letters, what acronym could it be? If somebody knows what Paris 21 means, 50 kwacha. But the OECD? Yeah. Organization, what could it be? Curtis? When we work together, yeah, cooperation, but the same thing. So what does it mean? It's a club of 38 rich countries, and they sit together, of course, to improve their own economic standing and trade, but also to collaborate with so-called developing countries. They're the ones that publish the big PISA reports, the big economic reports. They sit on a lot of data that is used for public good. And they have a partnership called Partnership for Statistics in the 21st Century. Paris 21, rooted in Paris. And as a foundation, we're linked to support more and better data and also better use of data. What we do together with them is to train national statistics offices in the Global South and bring them together with policymakers. That it's not only, oh yeah, we have a lot of data, like we do it here very often in Zambia. Nice, we have a nice report. Cool, let's check it off and move on. No, let's use this data and turn it actually into better policies, right? Lastly, what we do as a foundation, we bring people together that usually don't speak to each other, like today. For example, Bruno, you might have not been speaking to Curtis. Today you have the opportunity to do that. And we foster the dialogue to ideate and incubate ideas into actionable projects. So we start small and then hand this over to the bigger ones. Why? This is supposed to be why. Why should you get your data right? Just to spark the activity in the room. Okay. Why should you get your data right? Data-driven organizations are 23 times more likely to acquire customers, 6 times more likely to retain customers, and 19 times more likely to be profitable. So for a business, that should be your core. So on the other side, there are missed opportunities, and you're facing a loss compared to the data situation if you don't get your data right and track your own performance. Data helps businesses, as I said, to make informed decisions. Bad data, bad information, bad decisions, good data, and trying to use that data correctly, make informed decisions. That's what we're here for. And today we're hosting this event here together with BongoHive. Your phones, mostly all your phones might be registered in Zambia, right? If you use WhatsApp on a phone that is registered in the EU, you're not able to use the meta augmentation for your social medias because the EU regulators don't allow it. So just as a background that we're embedded in a context, and later we'll be going into sessions where we discuss the context, but this is an AI-generated picture. And I think this is what we're here for. This is what we want to achieve, to help Zambian SMEs and startups become more data-ready and competitive by providing them with the knowledge and tools needed to collect and use and analyze the data efficiently. So this is what came out when I searched for Zambia SME Data Hub. So I hope you can imagine that with me. Yeah, what's in for you today? So it's an access to an active network to SMEs who are or want to be data practitioners. Business efficiency, that's in there for you if you say yes to that journey to collect more and analyze your data and understand challenges and solutions, especially in times where climate change, pandemics have caused unpredictable challenges for your business. We will navigate better in those contexts. And also talking about the community, again, QR code, Data for Change has set up a community, the SME Data Knowledge Hub. Please become part of this community and continue the conversation that will start today. Yeah, our agenda for today, we printed it out, it's around. So I'll be handing over to BongoHive now and later break the ice with you. Thank you.